Ranger is a Whitby 42 foot with a bowsprit, main, mizzen, staysail, Yankee cut jib. It has a mizzen staysail capability. It allows us a very comfortable sea-kindly ride from the center cockpit. Alright, this is the forwardmost cabin, the V-berth. It's got an anchor locker in the front, nice little cubbies all around to keep your personal things. And it also has its own hanging locker in which things can be stored that need to hang up. The other important part about the forwardmost V-berth here is it's where we store this fishing gear that came with the boat that we don't really understand how to use. The forward V-berth also has private access to the forward head, always important in case you have to have a hangover moment. Forward head has all of the amenities, a proper marine sanitation device with the Imperial style lever. Yes, it is the Imperial model. I don't know what that actually means, but it does have a big lever for flushing. And just aft of the forward V-berth is a hanging locker that has, well, whatever that thing is, we have one right there in that locker next to a fire extinguisher. That's a bucket. Main saloon is spacious to a fault. That right there actually is a wood-burning stove, which we have used, and it does burn wood. The main saloon includes a bar. Yes, that is a proper fold-down bar with proper holders for liquor bottles inside of it. Side of the main saloon has a nice fold-down table, a bunch of half-done projects, and some stuff that I can't easily identify right now, but it's on the boat, so it must be important. The galley is also quite spacious, with a 3-burner stove and 2 big refrigerators and a dry storage locker and a single sink, and the Commodore's greatest invention ever, bar none, hanging jars of snacks and goodies so you don't have to root around in a locker trying to find something to eat. Abaft of the bar on the starboard side is the nav station, and you can see that there is behind the nav station some open cabinets and a walkthrough. Nav station is a clutter of stuff that hasn't found a home yet, which is generally a big mistake. You'll notice that the nav station has essentially no electronic instruments, and that's the consequence of having a boat made in the 80s with almost no upgrades between then and now. It does have electric lighting and a little cigarette lighter that we can plug other stuff into, but as far as snappy, state-of-the-art navigational equipment, it has nice teak plugs where stuff might go in the future. Behind the nav station, the walkthrough is a passageway that goes to the aft cabin and other areas back there, which mostly include the aft head. And it also has a handy place to store spare parts and tools, as long as they're not too bulky. Theoretically, you would store your paper charts there, but it is 2011 and paper charts aren't really quite so popular as they once were. In addition to a clutter of stuff and the electrical panel, the other thing we have in the walkthrough is the doorway to Mr. Lehman's office. He's the powerhouse behind Red Ranger, and we'll go down and meet Mr. Lehman in a moment. The electrical panel, I'm sure, does many important things. I know what a few of the switches do. Mostly I know that the entertainment switch turns on the AM/FM cassette radio player. Really, AM/FM cassette. The aft cabin is also, like the saloon and the V-berth, spacious to a fault, and as a consequence the space gets used for all kinds of crazy things. So we have put into the aft cabin everything we couldn't otherwise find a home for. In addition to stuff, the aft cabin has a door which leads to the captain's private head, which weirdly is full of stuff, much of which we can't positively identify, and we're not even sure it's really ours. We think this has become a kind of a catch-all around the marina. People think the boat's abandoned or something and throw stuff into it. To the Imperial model sanitary device with the Imperial-sized handle. And then down here is where we keep the saltiest of the sails in our inventory, the mizzen staysail. It stays down here because we're not really sure how to use it or what it does, but we sure know we've got one and it's in a bag right there. And up here on deck we have Jackson Creek, which is lovely here in the spring. And over here on this side of things we have Deltaville Boatyard. We're at Deltaville Marina, right next door to the boatyard. So this is our Yankee and our anchoring system and our bowsprit and some chain and some dock lines and a snubber and stuff. This is the inner staysail and some dry deck and our anchor windlass for bringing up the huge heavy anchors and all that chain. The dinghy suffers the indignity of being stowed upside down on the deck here in the off-season. In the slip, there's not really a lot better place for it than upside down in the deck, so there she sits, basically a target for bird poo. I guess that's why they call it the poop deck. The mainmast with tangles of ropes everywhere for which aren't really ropes. Most of those are halyards, and one of them is a topping lift, but we'll call them ropes for the purposes of this video. We'll take a little look up the main mast. It's got steps, which is a delightful thing. It's got spreaders, which is essential for keeping it from tipping over. And it's got places to attach the headsails, and it's got equipment or something up there, and even a Whitby Brewer Yacht Club Burgee flapping in the breeze. We have nothing short of a boatload of winches. There are winches everywhere on this boat. We've got nice sail covers that the Commodore sewed herself using a kit from Sailrite and some local modifications to make it better fit our rig. We've got an entire second mast and sail up after the main, the mizzen mast, and all of its associated malarkey going all the way up to the very top of... I've never been allowed up there. The Commodore's been up there and looked it all over, but not me. What we have back here is some crew working on some kind of boaty-like project. Whatever it is they're doing, it seems to involve something electrical and something sharp. I'm not allowed either one of those kind of toys. Also back here we keep an outboard motor, a swinging rope, a throwy buoy of some kind, and some main sheet for the mizzen. I guess it would be a mizzen sheet, but it's like the main sheet except it works on the mizzen. We also have davits in case we should ever want to hang a dinghy back here, but right now the dinghy's suffering up on the foredeck. Cockpit has all of the usual amenities, piles of junk that belong in the lazarette but aren't in there right now because something at the bottom was very important and we had to get it out. And the helm has all the usual helmish things. It's got a binnacle compass, and that seems to be pretty accurate, all things considered. Seems to agree with the GPS as often as it disagrees, so I guess that's fair. It's got a bunch of gauges and stuff, and most of those work except for one or two. And the one or two that don't work actually have spares down in Mr. Lehman's office, so it doesn't really matter that they don't work. And in addition to an outboard motor and a throwy thing, the afterdeck has a shop vac that normally doesn't stay here, some hazmat lockers that we keep hazardous materials in, an extra anchor, but we couldn't keep up forward because we've already got two up there and one downstairs, and where do you put your fourth anchor is what I want to know. So the answer is right there. And the tennis balls are important because those things are sharp. We thought it might be appropriate to take a quick look inside Mr. Lehman's office. He is home today, and as far as we can tell, ready to work. He can be cantankerous, so sometimes we're not really sure if he's cooperative or just hungover. But this is the Ford Lehman diesel engine, 80 horsepower, 250 some odd cubic inches of iron Genoa, and that is the Raycor Twin 500 fuel filters, and that's an exhaust elbow, and those are black wires that go up through a hole in the ceiling of the engine room, and we're not sure where that hole exactly goes, but we know it's got a lot of wires going into it, or maybe they're coming out of it. We're unclear on the details. Over here on this side of the engine room is an ancient refrigeration system that may work. We're not sure. We have actually never tried to turn it on. From this angle, it's not perfectly clear what's going on out there, but you can see that there's a slight change in color in the water because there's a sandbar that's only a foot or two deep out there with waves breaking on it, and it's very important to not sail over the sandbar. So it is quite nicely marked, but it is a long dogleg sail around that piling and then way down around the corner of the marina to the other marina. You can't see it from here where there's a bunch more pilings and some buoys and whatnot to get past that sandbar. But once you're out into the Piankatank River, the sailing is delightful. That's Gwin Island in the distance, and beyond Gwin Island, Chesapeake Bay, and the world.